On a noisy warehouse floor, a manager yanks what he thinks is a phone wire but is actually a worker's insulin pump tubing. A forklift driver hits the emergency stop, takes the heat, and gets us suspended while making sure the kid gets medical care. Small, practical changes ripple through the workplace after the shock, and a quiet sense of dignity takes root. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. The tape made a ripping sound when the floor manager yanked the clear tube. The kid flinched hard, and a small beep started up at his waist. Someone swore. Boxes rattled by. The manager held the thin line up between two fingers like it was gum stuck to a seat. Off books break time again. He said into the general noise. The conveyor roared. People looked and looked away. The kid's face went grey. He grabbed for his side, where a square of adhesive had lifted with the tube. A dark dot spread under the plastic edge. Mara watched from her forklift halfway down the lane. Her hands were sweaty inside her gloves. She had one more strike left before they let her go. That big red button on the post was a last resort. The kind that got your ID clipped. Her rent was late already. Her son's class trip money was due Friday. The manager kept his voice even, but it carried. No phones on the floor. You hide it. I confiscate it. We're all on the same rules. He tugged the tube again. The kid made a sound like he had swallowed his breath. The belt shoved another wave of boxes into their space. People shuffled back. She saw the pump on his waistband, the little screen lit like a watch. She saw his hands shaking and the shallow rise of his chest. She could taste cardboard and dust in the air. She slapped the big red mushroom button. The belt shuddered and stopped. Boxes slid to a halt with a rubber moan. Horns went up around her from other lifts. She parked sideways across the lane and climbed down fast. The manager spun on her. What in his radio crackled with three voices at once? He dropped the clear tube like it burned. It's a pump, Mara said. Not loud. She shrugged off her high-vis vest and held it up to block the nearest cameras on the post. She stepped in close to the kid. You okay? He nodded, and then his head kept nodding. The beeping sped up. His lips were white. She grabbed the juice bottle from her lunch bag on the forklift. She pressed it into his hand. Drink. He couldn't get the cap. She twisted it off and touched it to his mouth. He took small gulps like it was poison, then bigger ones. First aid kit, she said to no one in particular. A packer ran and came back with the battered green box. Mara pulled a gauze pad and pressed it over the lifted adhesive. Keep this here. Don't touch it. You do not get to hit that button, the manager said. He was pink now, sweating under the collar of his navy polo. Do you know what a stop costs per minute? We get fined. We get audited. Write it, Mara said. She kept her hand steady on the kid's side. He needs medical. We're not a clinic, he said. And you don't block the lane. Get back on your lift. Now. His voice was tight, not mean. He kept glancing at the dead belt, like it would spring back to life if he stared hard enough. Call safety, someone said. More people drifted in. Some of them had their phones low by their thighs. The kid swallowed. He didn't look at anyone. I'm staying with him, Mara said. We don't touch people, ever. The manager's jaw worked. He lifted his radio. Safety to pack 3, he said into it. We've got a shutdown and an incident. His eyes flicked to the red mushroom button, then to Mara. If you had an issue, you should have called it in. He was ripping it out, she said. There wasn't time. A safety guy came at a trot. He had the orange vest and the calm tone. He noticed the pump. His face changed. He knelt and asked the kid 3 quick questions that sounded like code. The kid answered with short yeses. The safety guy nodded. Okay, you're going to lose a little. We're going to cover and get you to a clinic. Restart the belt, the manager said, looking over heads. We've got hot orders. Not yet, safety said. Not with feet in the lane. He looked at Mara, then at the red button. Who hit? I did, Mara said. She didn't move her hand from the gauze. Okay, safety said. He didn't write anything down. He handed the kid a glucose gel from his pocket. Take this too. HR arrived in a skirt and a cardigan like she had walked in from a different building. Security came in inch by inch like cats. HR's voice was low and polite. Mara, can we talk in the office? Not until he's okay, Mara said. She wasn't loud. She could hear her own heart. HR compressed her lips, then nodded once. We'll wait. The manager looked like he had swallowed a lemon. His radio went off again, he answered, in clipped numbers. They wrapped the kid's side with more gauze and tape. The beeping slowed. He breathed deeper. He didn't look like he was going to pass out anymore. The belt stayed quiet. The room felt weird without the constant shove. Restart when clear, safety said when the kid stood on his own. The manager snapped a hand at someone up the line. The belt groaned back alive. People flinched and then settled. HR touched Mara's sleeve. Now, please. Security unfolded a clipboard like a ritual. She followed them across the yellow lines, past the stacks of broken pallets, into the small glass-walled office by the time clock. The air smelled like coffee burned down to black. They asked the questions they had to ask. Why did you engage the stop? Were you trained to do that? Did you feel threatened? Yes, she said. Yes, yes. They suspended her pending review. They took her badge with a soft snap like it was a joke. You'll get a call, HR said. She walked back out without her vest. The kid had been led toward the door by safety. He stood with his back on the cinder block, eyes closed. His hands had stopped shaking. The pump on his waistband flashed a little rectangle and then went blank. Do you have a spare set? She asked. At home, he said. His voice was thin. I take the bus. I'll drive you, she said. He hesitated. He looked at her, then at security, then at the floor. I don't want you to get more. My shift is done, she said. It wasn't, but it was now. Outside, under the loading lamps, she sat him on the curb. The night was cold and smelled like wet cardboard. She pulled her truck up to the door. It was an old Ford with 2 seats and a cracked dashboard. She opened the passenger side and helped him in. He moved like an old man for a few seconds, then like himself again. Clinic first, she said. He nodded. The urgent care had a corner with sad toys and a TV that was always on the weather. The nurse knew what the pump was. They said he needed a new set, and yes, they had one, but insurance would handle replacements later. The number she had in her head came out of the receptionist's mouth. I'll cover it, Mara said. The word climbed out of her throat like a bug. You don't, the kid said. Take it, she said. She put her card down and looked away while it beeped. The nurse came with a bag, and a warm blanket like that was part of the package. She sat with him while they changed the site. She faced the other way when they lifted his shirt. She watched the digital numbers step down when the pump primed. The beeping turned into a single soft chime and then silence. He breathed like it was the first good breath in an hour. Thank you, he said. His eyes were wet. His cheeks didn't move much. Everyone okay at home? She asked. Just that. Yeah, he said. He looked at the floor. Mostly. His clipboard slid open on her truck seat. Papers spilled into the crack between the seats. She picked them up and put them back. A bus schedule with routes traced in blue pen. A photo of a kid with missing front teeth holding a cardboard sword. A letter with small type that said something about guardianship and a court date. A receipt for test strips with a double-circled total. She slid it all into the clip and pushed it back toward him. She likes dinosaurs, he said. Crooked smile. My sister. He tapped the photo with a knuckle. Good taste, Mara said. She drove him to a low building with paint that had given up on the bottom floor. The stair light was out. He got out slow and stood there with his hand on the door. You didn't have to, he said. I know, she said. She was careful with the words. Text me when you're in. She wrote her number on the back of a receipt and tore it clean. He texted. In? Thanks. The blue bubble sat there. She stared at it until it felt real. The next morning her phone rang at 10. HR. 2 shifts unpaid suspension, they said. Final warning. We're revising some training. Don't do that again. Okay, Mara said. She hung up, looked at a bank app, and sold her old drum kit to a guy who answered quickly. The house was quieter without it. Her son asked where it went. I didn't play it much, she said. A week later the laminated sign showed up above the belt. Do not touch medical devices, they said in a big font. Insulin pumps, monitors, braces. Ask safety first. They looked like they had been printed at someone's desk and put up with crooked tape. The safety talk on Monday used a picture of a pump. The safety guy put it up without names. You see one of these, you don't grab it, he said. You ask, you give space. The manager stood in back with his arms crossed. His face had the tight look again, but he didn't speak over it. When the talk ended, he cleared his throat. Any questions about non-contact policy? He said. People looked at their boots. A bowl of wrapped glucose tablets appeared by the time clock. Someone refilled it when it got low. A stacker taped a single gel to the metal post near the red button. Forklift drivers started keeping apple juice in their cup holders. Nobody said why out loud. The kid came back on the line. He had a small, bright sticker on his scanner strap now. Type Y. It wasn't a secret anymore. He saw Mara and lifted his chin. She lifted 2 fingers off the wheel. Later, the manager stopped near him, but not too close. "Everything good?" he asked. His voice was almost normal. "Yeah," the kid said. He patted the pump once, like a check. The manager nodded and kept walking. He didn't touch anyone. Mara came back to nights. They had moved her shift. Less foot traffic, less chance of someone filming anything. The pay was the same. The floor was colder. That was fine with her. She liked the clean lanes and the way you could hear the belts come alive from a long way away. She checked the red button near her lane. The cap had a scuff she hadn't noticed before, a faint little crescent. She ran her thumb over it. The belt hummed steady. Boxes passed, edges sharp under the lights. Her palms were calmer than last week. On nights, the building hummed like a big fridge. She kept her eyes on the forks and the lines and the small board faces at the end of the sorters. She thought about how easy it was to hit a button when your hand knew where it lived, about how hard it was to stand there after and own it. She thought about juice rings on concrete drying into a sticky circle. She thought about the small white square of gauze under a hoodie, and how it flashed once when someone reached up to grab a box. The red cap on the button caught the light when the motion sensor switched on above her, and it glowed for a second like it was breathing.